You're listening to WNCW. We've got the Caravan of Thieves live in Studio B this afternoon. They are playing tonight at the Altamont Theater in downtown Asheville on Church Street. And then tomorrow, making a little jaunt across the state back to Charlotte, where they will be playing at the Evening News at 8 p.m., I believe. So a little trip through the North Carolina. Have you found little pockets in Carolina that are more receptive to what you guys are doing?
The ones we're going to.
There you go. Seems pretty self-evident, doesn't it? Yeah. I want to kind of roll back the clock a little bit and have you guys tell folks the background a little bit. I know Fuzz, from years back, folks of a certain age will remember Deep Banana Blackout, and you were certainly part of that scene back then. That was certainly a different sounding group of musicians than what you've got going on now. How did that transition go from a rock and funk and such to gypsy swing and ragtime and Tin Pan Alley?
I mean, there's no smooth transition between those two things, but when we were doing Deep Banana Black, and we still do it, by the way, but even early on in that, I was always trying to push in little things like a little bit of gypsy music and some like Dixieland and ragtime stuff, and we did do things like that. It was far and few between, but it's always been something I've been into. But once the band kind of stopped touring, not long after that was when Carrie and I met, and we were going out as an acoustic duo. And that was a big change for me, which was good. It was intentional. I wanted to get away from the funk and jam scene for a little bit, take a break from it, and right. And this was good for us because we can do a little singer-songwriter circuit and that kind of thing. And so the band grew out of that. So it was kind of a real sort of slingshot away from it, and then we're sort of snapping back in a way to it now because we've got a fuller band and we do a little more, it's more musical than say your average singer-songwriter thing.
Right, right. Carrie, did you have a background as a busker, or how did you get your thing launched?
I was a solo singer-songwriter before I met Fuzz. So,
okay.
Yeah, I was just working on my own, writing, playing, singing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So were you into gypsy jazz and that ilk before?
Not really. No, he introduced me to that music as we met and explored different things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. What about you guys, Ben, Brian?
I was working bass player. I had a couple different bands before Caravan. Actually, a band that was down through here in the studio, St. Bernadette, I was playing with.
Sure.
A rock band. I went to college for jazz performance, so I was doing jazz gigs at the sushi restaurant, and then I had a jam band that opened up for Deep Banana Blackout, and that's how I met Fuzz. And
how many bands were born out of the people falling together at the jazz thing at the at the sushi restaurant? Yeah. It happens so very often.
Yeah.
So did y'all come from a family of musicians, or was this just your own individual thing?
I mean, for me, my immediate family, no. Like, none of my parents or siblings were musicians, but certainly loved to listen to it. But I had a lot of cousins who were, guitarists, drummers, who were cousins, and so sort of grew up around it. They were a lot older than me too, so as a kid they were they were already
influencing you,
adults playing, and so I was always sort of following in their footsteps, and they were real into blues and soul music, and so that's I think what kind of led me to that.
Okay, yeah. So the influences there are pretty easy, I guess. So now where do you find yourself when you hit the record store racks? What are you flipping through?
I mean, just about anything. I mean, I'm really looking for something different because there's so much music out there now. What sort of stands out? It's kind of because at this point it seems like that's where music is going. It's going more and more eclectic because I think people have a lot more access to a variety of music at their fingertips, way more than when I was a teenager. And the internet, you can find just about anything. So it's neat to see the different concoctions, basically, that people are doing with music, and that's sort of what I think I'm always looking for.
Yeah, it seems lately there's been this proliferation of swing and let's call it Americana swing kind of thing. So folks like Pokey Lafarge and Dust Bowl Revival and folks like that are mixing that Dixieland and ragtime and everything else. And I often wonder if that's just a nature of the times that stuff has decided to bubble back up again, or if it's something in the air culturally that people are missing that collection of sounds, and so when it shows up, people grab at it. I don't know.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a snapback from there's electronic music is really big right now, and I think there are people who are sort of there's kind of that's sort of the way other end of the dial to that. Plus, I think rock and roll has kind of run its course, and it's still there and it'll exist, but it's not as much of a people are not as enamored with rock and roll as I think they were in the 60s and 70s, and so they don't feel they need to be a rocker as much as they did through the.
Speak for yourself.
That's right.
I rock every night.
Not to say that we're not rockers, man, but
Do you see Brian's headbanging?
I think music should
your bass
rock.
man is working out everything pretty hard.
I still rock. I rock.
This may be a function of age here, folks. I don't know.
Well, he is the senior of the
My rocking days are over.
Somebody's dating
His day,
themselves.
he did like that.
The only rocking I do is in a chair. No,
It's the Caravan of Thieves live in Studio B here at WNCW.